Paul Joseph Watson, what else is coming up in the next hour?
Well, we're going to talk about Milo's suspension. He's actually back on Twitter now because there was such a huge deluge of complaints. Drudge linked it, big fat red link at the top.
But it shows, why would they even try it?
Well, I think what happened was he got mass reported by Arab Twitter. So it was basically a huge frothing mass outrage campaign because he posted...
people that want to throw gays off buildings. But since they can't do that quite yet to Milo, they just wanted to shut down his free speech.
Yeah, they're progressive. So he put up a poll saying, what do we want in the West? Women, gays, freedom, or Islam? And at the start of the poll, it was, 95% women, gays, freedom. Then Arab Twitter got a hold of it. This Islamist with 1.2 million followers put it up. So it swung back to like 60-40. And then they just mass reported him. He was suspended for about 30 minutes. And the backlash was so intensive that he was back within the hour. So that just shows you how much power...
But when they did it to that other lady, they haven't let her come back yet. I mean, they're doing this to a lot of people. They've done it to us.
Well, no, and the second largest shareholder in Twitter, a bigger shareholder than Jack Dorsey, the founder, is a Saudi prince. The people who like to execute homosexuals. So we can't have any criticism of them.
Women.
Now 20% of Hillary's campaign is funded by the people who still execute homosexuals, but they're progressive, they're liberal, they're trendy.
And also I had a psychiatrist on about this yesterday, top psych warfare expert, and he was saying, but homosexuality is like ubiquitous in especially Wahhabist or Sunni Islam. So it's like, but they don't call it that. It's like weird. They're doing it constantly, but if they decide they want to kill you for it, then they do. Just like this guy, as I predicted Sunday, was always in the gay bar. He was on, these apps like Grindr out there doing this and like hitting on everybody, but then separately went and killed them.
No, I mean, that's the thing over and over again. They're complete hypocrites. It seems the more radical their beliefs, the more hypocritical they are. That's why, for example, the 9/11 hijackers drank before the attacks. And, my cousin's gay. He knows some of the people who move in these circles, and it's a total open secret. It's well known. All these Saudis, all these princes, all these billionaires come to London to have gay orgies. That's their preferred activity. And yet when they go back home, they will whip people, they will imprison people, they will execute people simply for having, gay relationships when they're doing the same thing. They're coming over to Europe having these gay orgies. So it's no surprise that the Orlando gunman turned out to be that way. Total hypocrite.
Yeah, it's like these preachers you always hear that are saying, put prostitutes in prison and everything, and then they're the ones you catch with the hooker.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the more radical their beliefs are, the more sick they are. So why would they stick to those beliefs? Why would they even be authentic in their beliefs?
But let's go further. We're going to come back and talk about this. Why, then, is the liberal gay community worshiping Islam, Paul?
Well, what's interesting, since this massacre on Saturday night, a lot of them have come out and said that they're voting for Trump. In fact, I'm going to cover that in an article later.
But now there's censorship of the gays for Trump hashtag.
Yeah, this is on Twitter. Again, remember, Google was censoring Hillary Clinton criminal. They made it about the 94 crime bill instead of all her scandals. Now, gays for Trump hashtag is being censored. It does not auto-complete, despite the fact that it's more than twice as popular as LGBTQ hates Trump party hashtag, which does auto-complete, despite the fact that less than half the number of people...
Stay there. We're going to talk about it when we come back.
Welcome back to the fourth hour of Overdrive of the Alex Jones Show. This is Rob Dew. Got Josh Owens riding shotgun. We got Paul Joseph Watson back in England. This is actually a reunion. We left Paul a couple days ago, about 4 a.m. From our hotel in Prague, where we were flying out. So we're going to, I guess, wrap up a little bit of Bilderberg business. It was interesting. It was like peaking, and the interest was peaking, and then this Orlando shooting happened, and the world's eye went to this.
Well, I think we hit the highlight, which was Petraeus, you chasing Petraeus. That was the highlight of the trip, because that's what we're there to do. We're not there to sit outside and, hang out and be friendly. Not that there's a problem with that, but we're there to cover what's going on inside because the media isn't covering it.
Exactly, and there were a lot of issues. And I actually heard some audio. I'm waiting for that to come in, and I'll talk about that in 1 second. But just to let you guys know, Tim Kennedy was on the show today, and we launched the Tim Kennedy special, 15% off Super Male Vitality, Brain Force, and Secret 12 at InfoWarsLife.com. I actually brought Brain Force and Secret 12 along with the iodine and silver that I never leave home without. I even took it to Europe, and I bring a little bit extra so I can give to my buddies out there. As part of our partnership with Special Forces operator and UFC fighter Tim Kennedy, we're giving you up to 15% off of InfoWars Life formulas used by Tim Kennedy. So you get 15% off Super Male Vitality, Brain Force, and Secret 12 for a limited time at InfoWarsLife.com. These are the products Tim uses and his Special Forces and UFC training to help get him to the next level. All 3 products have hundreds of 5-star reviews and contain known herbs that help boost vitality and help the body naturally. So also, Living Defense is almost sold out. This is also another great product to get rid of the parasites that may be lurking inside your body. So go to InfoWarsLife.com, check out the Tim Kennedy special and Living Defense. So, Paul, what were your final impressions of Bilderberg ending it this year? We definitely, in terms of Drudge support, we got a lot of Drudge love, which was nice, especially on some of those videos of these people leaving and not wanting to answer any questions. They pretend, reporters don't exist, but if they were in any other location, they would stop and give a statement. What's your take, Paul?
Well, I mean, it's interesting that on their official website, which they only created a few years ago after being in existence for decades, they said that there was no press conference at any Bilderberg meetings because of lack of interest. Now, how is it it's only lack of interest from the mainstream media? I mean, it caught fire on the internet. As you said, we were on Drudge every day, sometimes twice a day. People are really interested in this, and the intersectionality of Brexit and the migrant crisis and the fact that it was in Germany piqued the interest even more. So that's no longer an excuse for them. Henry de Castries, one of the chairman of Bilderberg, basically came out the day afterwards and said that Brexit possibility is extremely high. So that's what they were talking about. We knew they were talking about that. They were incredibly concerned about that. And overall impressions of Bilderberg were that we blew it wide open once again. We tried to put some of these people on the record. We did in the case of Peter Thiel. He gave some bizarre, mealy-mouthed explanation about comparing us to the Stasi.
Yeah.
So because this huge bureaucratic state operation that surveilled people, that hired people as informants was a bad thing back in the 70s and 80s in East Germany. He then compared us to that simply for asking for transparency.
And those
radical transparency.
Right. And those were the leaders back then who were doing that to their people. He was trying to say, what you guys are doing is like the Stasi. Like, we're acting like Stasi. It was crazy. Although I did have to chase Petraeus down because he wouldn't stop and answer my question. And I thought that was pretty interesting. I even did a version with cut it to Chariots of Fire, which maybe we'll play that going out to break. Y'all could play a little bit of that, maybe the last minute, and we'll go to break. But that was just serendipitous. I happened to be interviewing a guy. He was getting bested by the cops. He had 3 cops around him because he was drawing with chalk on the sidewalk. So I'm in the middle of a 5-minute interview, and all of a sudden I see Petraeus run by, and I'm like, that's it. That's what I was looking for. That's my big fish. And, chased him down, asking him about Hillary Clinton's email server because he had to resign as a result of his email getting hacked because he was a CIA director. Here's the Secretary of State who had her email continuously hacked. Guccifer was reading out her emails to people, yet she has to do nothing. It's okay for her.
No, I mean, it was a great effort, given all the equipment you were carrying to keep up with him, because for his age, he's really fast. He's really athletic.
He's very nimble.
So that was probably the biggest confrontation visually in terms of the entire Bilderberg conference. But the most interesting one for me was the very first, when we got, as a result of Tillman and his great help, we got the governor of Saxony, Tillich, on record to basically admit that it was a huge lobbying organization. And that's key because the media always presents it as a talking shop. They say no consensus is achieved, no decisions are made, despite previous Bilderberg members going on record and saying that they do arrive at the consensus, which they then implement in policy. But Tillich brazenly admitted that he was going there to get investment into Dresden. So he was asking all these corporate heads for money to invest into his city.
And that seems like an ancillary property of Bilderberg, Paul. Like, they bring in these local guys and they kind of beg for money a little bit. And we confronted him outside, myself and Mr. Tillman. He didn't want to answer any questions, but we had a guy on the inside, another local who, you know, I put out a call for help, and man, the locals responded. They came out in droves and said, hey, I've got a tip. I know where migrant camps are. I know where this is, you know, and this guy, Max, got in on the inside and told him he was doing a school project on Bilderberg. And the guy's like, sure, I'll answer a couple of your questions. And he asked him a couple of innocuous ones. He's like, well, I'm trying to get money for my city of Dresden. And he acted like that was okay to go talk to these people, and we need to do it in secret. And it's just amazing how all that, you know, came out. And that was our first big blow before the conference. I guess the night that people were arriving there. That's when that happened. And that feels like 2 years ago already, because so much goes on. But you have to be on your toes. You have to be ready. I got a phone call that says, hey, he's still in the church. We could go confront him. And then our buddy had already got him on the inside. So it's about putting that information out and getting it up as quick as possible. But I think that really blows open the whole myth that Bilderberg's just a private meeting. There's giant banking combines going there, along with politicians and leaders in tech, and they're all trying to figure out a way that they can use the money that they've stolen by, you know, manipulating interest rates and manipulating all these processes that they own to get money for their little pet projects. So this guy in Dresden's probably offering them sweetheart deals to invest. Hey, you come here, I'll give you the best deal because I know you and I met you at Bilderberg. So that's how the club works. You come in, and it's just a little a boys club. You know, in a sense, and you know, they invite media people there, and they're not doing anything about it. I think they bring the media there just to prove that they can do it, and they won't say a word about it. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, well, it's obvious that they're having meetings inside, or maybe they send out a little newsletter beforehand because Tillich hadn't gone in yet. But you see, when Peter Thiel came out, and the only comment he had was, well, the Stasi was in favor of radical transparency. Whatever the hell that means, I have no idea. But they obviously get these talking points because I'm assuming that the low-level people, when they get there, the people that have never been there before, they see this big crowd of people protesting. And I'm sure they have to ask themselves, well, what's going on? Why are they so upset that we're in here? And so I'm sure they give out, you know, little newsletters. I'm sure they give out a little card that's like, oh, it's okay that we're meeting in secret. It's good that we're meeting in secret. So I think it's interesting that a few of the people, that's the only comment they had to make, Tillich and Thiel. Yeah. That was the only thing they had to say was that, well, you know what, it's okay that we meet in secret. In fact, it's good. Let me give you some double think so we can say that it's actually part of the Nazis that we want transparency.
Yeah, you're now a Nazi because you want to know what's going on. So... Well, Paul, I think we're going to punch out here. Let's go to that video with Chariots of Fire chasing Petraeus, and maybe we'll put it on InfoWars right now. It's just on my personal channel because I'm using that amazing score from the movie from the 1980s. So with that, Paul's going to come back after the break. This is Rob Dew, Josh Owens. I guess signing off for Bilderberg. We may have one other extra video that we're going to put up, an amazing interview we did with someone who claims to be related to a Bilderberg member, one of the founding members. So that should be interesting. I don't know if we totally believe her yet, though. So let's roll that video. One quick question, General Petraeus. You had to resign as a result of an email scandal, yet Hillary Clinton is still running for president, even though she's got this massive email scandal of people hacking her. Do you think she should resign from the Democratic Party? Just one quick question, sir.
Now there's a story out of Denton which is breaking in the last few hours. A man holding a Quran, ranting about Allah and making terrorist threats was arrested at a Texas courthouse. Peshwaz Azad Waisi, 28, was arrested Wednesday morning at the Denton County Courthouse on East McKinney Street on charges that he made terroristic threats. So he's holding a Quran, he's ranting about Allah, he's making terrorist threats. I guess that's nothing to do with Islam. We have yet another story. Islamic refugee with gas pipeline plans arrested in New Mexico border county. This is out of Judicial Watch. Police in a U.S. town bordering Mexico have apprehended an undocumented Middle Eastern woman in possession of the region's gas pipeline plans. Law enforcement sources tell Judicial Watch authorities describe the woman as an Islamic refugee. I'm sure bringing more cultural enrichment. Pulled over during a traffic stop by a deputy sheriff in Luna County, New Mexico, which shares a 54-mile border with Mexico. County authorities alerted the U.S. Border Patrol and the FBI and the Joint Terrorism Task Force. So again, another other than Mexican sneaking around down there on